Have you ever wondered what really goes on behind closed doors in the Indiana Fever locker room? Well, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you might completely change how you see the team's dynamic. And before we dive into this explosive story, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we're breaking down the most shocking WNBA drama of the season. Picture this. It's July 23rd, 2025, and Fever fans are waking up to screenshots flooding social media that would send shockwaves through the entire fanbase. A family member of one of the team's biggest stars had just exposed what might be the biggest fracture in the Indiana Fever locker room. And trust me, this isn't just some random drama. This goes straight to the heart of who really runs this team. Let me take you back to where this all started. On July 1st, a Facebook post started circulating among WNBA fans. The post claimed that Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston could win games without Caitlin Clark, but Clark couldn't win without them. Now, posts like this pop up all the time from fans trying to stir the pot. But what happened next? That's where things get juicy. Chelsea Mitchell. And get this, she's not just some random family member, she's Kelsey's sister who also played basketball at Ohio State. She sees this post and comments, "I gotta agree," just 3 words. 3 words that would eventually explode into a full-blown scandal that has Fever fans questioning everything they thought they knew about their team. Now, you might be thinking, so what? Family members support their own all the time, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just some off-the-cuff comment from a supportive sister. When fans started digging deeper, they found more posts from other Mitchell family members echoing the same sentiment. One post from a family friend claimed, "Clark's delusional fans can stay mad and call me all the names in the book, but we all saw who carries my Fever team." Another family member posted that Kelsey never missed a game, finished 10th in MVP voting, and is the soul of this franchise. They even went as far as saying that when Caitlin was out with injuries, they could see the team upsetting top teams like New York and Minnesota in the playoffs. The message was clear. The Mitchell family believes Kelsey, not Caitlin, is the true star of the Indiana Fever. But here's the kicker, and this is what makes this whole situation so wild. The actual facts tell a completely different story. When reporters started looking into the Fever's record without Caitlin Clark this season, guess what they found? The team is 4-4 without their supposed non-essential point guard. That's a 500 record, folks. Not exactly the dominant performance the Mitchell family was suggesting. Let's break this down even further. In those 8 games without Clark, the Fever lost to teams like the Sparks, Dream, Sun, and Mystics. They did manage to win 2 consecutive games at one point, including a Commissioner's Cup victory against Minnesota, where Natasha Howard won MVP. But overall, the numbers don't lie. This team struggles without Caitlin Clark. And speaking of numbers, let's talk about what happened when Clark returned from her most recent injury. In a game against the Dallas Wings, the Fever put up 102 points with a franchise record 64 points in the first half. Clark had 14 points and 13 assists, a Fever record for assists in a regulation game. The team's offensive rating that night? Through the roof. Compare that to when she's out, and the difference is night and day. But the drama doesn't stop with social media posts. Sources close to the team have been whispering about tension in the locker room all season long. Remember, Kelsey Mitchell was a free agent in the offseason and took her sweet time deciding whether to come back. The Fever had to use their core designation on her, guaranteeing her a supermax contract just to keep her from walking. Now, I've been covering this league for a while, and when a player who's been with a franchise for 7 years suddenly needs that much convincing to stay, that's a red flag, people. And when you combine that with these family posts, a picture starts to emerge of a player who might not be thrilled about playing second fiddle to the new franchise face. Let me paint you another picture. Throughout this season, there have been moments where you can see the tension if you know where to look. Watch the games closely. There are times when Mitchell takes shots that should probably go to Clark. Times when the ball movement stops and it becomes the Kelsey Mitchell show. Don't get me wrong, she's an incredible scorer. She dropped 29 points in a recent game. But basketball is a team sport, and when you've got a generational playmaker like Caitlin Clark on your team, sometimes the best play is to let her orchestrate. Here's something else that's been bothering fans, and honestly, it bothers me too. Throughout this season, Caitlin Clark has been taking hits left and right from opponents. We're talking hard fouls, cheap shots, the works. And where are her teammates? More often than not, they're standing around looking at the ceiling like nothing happened. No one's stepping up to defend their supposed superstar. No one's sending a message that you can't mess with their point guard. In any other sport, if someone's going after your best player, teammates would be throwing hands. But with the Fever, cricket sounds. And now, with this family drama coming to light, it makes you wonder, is this why Clark isn't getting protection from her own team? The situation got even more complicated when new head coach Stephanie White came in. White, who coached the Fever back in 2015 and 2016, has been trying different lineup combinations all season. She's experimented with playing Clark off the ball, starting other point guards alongside her, anything to ease the burden on Clark. But some fans are wondering, is this really about helping Clark, or is it about appeasing other players who want more touches? In a recent interview, White talked about how Kelsey Mitchell could be a key for the Fever, but not in the way you'd expect. She emphasized Mitchell's potential on defense, saying she'd been relied upon too heavily on offense in the past. Reading between the lines, it sounds like White might be trying to redefine Mitchell's role on the team. And based on these family posts, that's probably not sitting well with the Mitchell camp. What's really wild about this whole situation is the timing. The screenshots of Chelsea Mitchell's "I gotta agree" comment went viral on July 23rd, right in the middle of the season when the Fever should be focused on making a playoff push. Instead, they're dealing with locker room drama splashed all over social media. Several Mitchell family members reportedly deleted their accounts after the backlash, but the damage was already done. Fever fans are split right down the middle. Some are defending Mitchell, saying family is family and they're always going to have each other's backs. Others are calling for her to be traded, saying you can't have a player whose family is publicly undermining the franchise cornerstone. The forums and social media are absolute chaos right now. But here's what really gets me about this whole situation. If Kelsey Mitchell truly believes she's the star of this team, if her family's posts reflect conversations happening behind closed doors, then Houston, we have a problem. Because the numbers, the eye test, and quite frankly common sense all point to one conclusion. Caitlin Clark transformed this franchise. Before Clark arrived, the Fever hadn't made the playoffs in 7 years. 7 years. They were the laughing stock of the league. Now, they're must-see TV, games are selling out, ratings are through the roof, and it ain't because people are tuning in to watch Kelsey Mitchell, no disrespect to her game. Look, I get it. Mitchell has been with this franchise through the dark times. She's put up numbers on bad teams. She's been loyal when many players would have demanded trades. But professional sports is a meritocracy, and right now, Caitlin Clark is not just the best player on the Fever, she's one of the faces of the entire league. The irony in all this? In her Players Tribune article from last year, Mitchell actually praised Clark. She wrote about having respect for how the rookie handled all the attention and even said, "I hope we did a good job of being there for you too, see," with a heart emoji. So either something changed between then and now, or there's been underlying tension this whole time that's finally boiling over. What happens next could define the Fever's future. If Mitchell really is unhappy playing alongside Clark, if her family's posts reflect her true feelings, then the Fever have a decision to make. Do they try to smooth things over and keep their big three together? Or do they look to trade Mitchell while her value is still high? Some league insiders are already speculating about potential landing spots. Teams like Seattle, who needs scoring, or Phoenix, who could use another veteran presence, might be interested. And with Mitchell on a 1-year Supermax deal, she'll be a free agent again after this season. If she walks for nothing, that would be a disaster for Indiana. But here's the thing, and this is important. The Fever don't have to choose between Mitchell and Clark. Championship teams figure out how to make their stars coexist. The question is whether Mitchell can accept her role as the second option, or whether her ego and her family's influence will continue to be a problem. The timing couldn't be worse. The Fever are trying to build something special. They've got Clark, Boston, and Mitchell as their core. They've brought in veteran pieces like Natasha Howard. They've got a new coach in Stephanie White who knows what it takes to win in this league. Everything should be lining up for a championship run. Instead, they're dealing with family members airing dirty laundry on social media. They're dealing with questions about locker room chemistry. They're dealing with speculation about whether their second-best player even wants to be there. This is not how championship teams are built. I've seen this story before in professional sports. A new star arrives and suddenly the established players feel threatened. Egos clash. Camps form, and if it's not handled properly, the whole thing implodes. The Fever can't let that happen. They've got something special with Caitlin Clark, and they need to protect it at all costs. Look, Kelsey Mitchell is a fantastic player. She's a walking bucket, a 3-time All-Star, and she's meant a lot to this franchise. But if she can't handle being the second option, if her family is going to continue stirring up drama on social media, then maybe it's time for a fresh start. For everyone involved, the ball is in Mitchell's court now. She needs to have a serious conversation with her family about keeping private matters private. She needs to decide whether she's all in on this Fever team or whether she'd be happier somewhere else. And most importantly, she needs to accept that Caitlin Clark is the face of this franchise. Period. Because here's the truth, the Indiana Fever aren't going anywhere without Caitlin Clark. She's the engine that makes everything go. She's the reason fans are filling up Gainbridge Fieldhouse. She's the reason little girls are wearing Fever jerseys again. And if Kelsey Mitchell can't see that, then maybe she's not as smart as her basketball IQ suggests. This situation is far from over. With the family posts now deleted, but screenshots living forever on the internet, the damage to team chemistry might already be done. The Fever need to address this head-on before it completely derails their season. Whether that means team meetings, trades, or just letting Mitchell walk after this season remains to be seen. What we do know is this: championship teams don't have family members undermining teammates on social media. Championship teams have everyone rowing in the same direction. And right now, the Indiana Fever look more like a team divided than a team united. The next few weeks will be crucial. How the team responds on the court, how the coaching staff manages the personalities, and whether Mitchell can coexist with Clark will determine whether this Fever team reaches its potential or becomes another what could have been story. One thing's for sure, Fever fans deserve better than this drama. They've waited years for a competitive team. They've supported this franchise through thick and thin. And now, when they finally have a superstar in Caitlin Clark and a chance to compete, they're dealing with petty jealousy and family drama. It's honestly embarrassing. But hey, that's the WNBA for you. Sometimes it feels like there's more drama off the court than on it. And this Kelsey Mitchell situation, it's just the latest chapter in a league that can't seem to get out of its own way. So what do you think? Should the Fever trade Kelsey Mitchell before this gets worse? Can she coexist with Caitlin Clark? Or is this all being blown out of proportion? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more WNBA coverage. Until next time, this is your source for the real story behind the headlines.